Okay, from yesterday's class, uh, how you did like that? What? Okay, from yesterday's class, does anyone have any question? Anyone, any question or any part that they want to ask? Or before I start the class, like if you guys want to, if you guys have any question, you guys can feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll start my class. And while starting, I would also ask a couple of questions with you guys, and I would give, access to a couple of you guys to speak on something as well. Okay, so let's make this a very interactive class and not like, I'm just keep on speaking and you guys are just like, listening to the things. So there are two things which I figured out. So if you see today's class, okay, if I just go and the syllabus that I was about to teach today was something about, yes, introduction to OWASP, SQL injection attacks, and blind SQL injection attack. Okay, so basically, I was going to teach you guys about the SQL injection attacks. Right now, I figured out that a lot of users who were actually messaging me on Telegram and WhatsApp, they don't have background about the web security or anything. Okay, so would you guys like me to go from very basic, like from the very starting of the web security, or would you guys like me to switch directly to the SQL injection attack? Obviously in both the cases I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show the demo and everything. Okay, but what do you guys prefer? Because with SQL injection, it might be a bit technical for people who don't know what SQL is. Okay, okay. So I can see a couple of people saying basic. I would love if everyone can just write down the messages, right? Because I can see a couple of people are there, like Purva is there. Okay, Ravi, I can see the message. Sneha is there. Mehradun, okay, I can see the message. Gokul, Mhantesh, yeah, okay, okay. Let's keep it in that way. We'll go with the basic. Okay. So shall we start or shall we wait for a couple of more minutes for your friends to join? Let me just check because I'm getting a couple of Telegram messages. Yep. Okay, I'm getting Telegram messages, but anyway, that's fine. Um, so let's start then. Okay, so in the last class we discussed about what is cybersecurity, ethical hacking, different types. We talked about the different types of hacker, and what would be the objective of this particular course. What are the various departments of cybersecurity, various categories of cybersecurity, and today we are going to pick one of the category, which is the web security. So web security category is very vast. I would say it will take at least you know at least 20-25 hours of teaching to make you guys understand the entire web security. But then again, since we know that we don't have that much of time, so I just have taken the crux part of web security and have designed in a way like it's a part one and part two way. Now, since in your response, I had to change the things a bit. So earlier I thought like, I'll just start with the SQL injection and everything, but then again, I realized that it's not possible for everyone to understand and grasp those, advanced injection attacks. So I thought of like, let's go with from the very basic. People will get interested, and then again, yeah. So you guys are like, you guys are new to this, but then again you guys have enthusiasm, and then I'm pretty sure you guys can figure out the way to learn the other things as well. Okay, obviously I'm here to help you guys. So let's go with the introduction to web security. We know that the entire, when we talk about internet, we talk about various websites. So the all these websites are made of obviously the coding part is there, but if you talk about websites, there are three different parameters of website. The first one is the front end. What is front end? Front end is the one that we see. Okay, like, so if I let me just go through couple of websites. So for example, let's just go to findmentor.com, right? So what you see here right now, all these things, these are actually front end. Okay, you are actually seeing the front end, right? Okay, so this is the front end. Now the another part is back end. Back end is where all these information are getting fetched from. Okay, now before understanding backend, the third component is database. Now, let me just explain the database, and then I'm going to explain you backend in more detailed way. So the database are the part where the actual informations are getting stored. So for example, when I was creating a class, let's say when I was creating a class on web security part 2, I entered the title of the class, right? So if I just go to my mentor dashboard, let's say if I go to a mentor dashboard, I click on add class, and I have to fill all this information, right? Like the title of the class, the subject of the class, the date of the class, and all these informations. So when I type all these informations are basically stored in a place, right, in a container, you can say. That container in websites are called database. Now there are various versions of database. There is SQL version, there is no SQL. Yeah. So let's not go into that deep right now. Let's just understand that there is a database which is kind of a container where you are supposed to put all of your information, right? So now you have front end where you can see things, database where the things are stored, but then again you cannot see database, right? So what is the thing that is going to connect the front end with the database, right? So there is another server side scripting language. So front end we call it client side scripting language, and on the back end side we call it server side scripting language, because it is interacting with the server and the database and everything. So everything which is happening behind, which we cannot actually see, those are called backend. Now again, if we just come back here, and so, or when I created a class, all those informations were actually stored in the database. Now for example, I create the similar class like here, right? Now how I am able to see on my screen, right? So this is the front end, and these all informations were actually stored in the back end. So someone went inside the back end, picked up the data and gave it to the front end, and that's how the front end is showing us the data. So that part is called back end, and obviously the server side. So there are three basic components. Now when we say what is more vulnerable point, the more vulnerable point is the the backend, yeah. Why it is? So just think in a very normal scenario, like um, for example, there is a bank, okay, and there is your house, right? In a bank you have all the money stored, okay, and in house you want you ask someone to, okay, go to the bank, take out the money, okay, and then let's come back to home, and we will store those money in the almirah, or inside the cupboard or whatever, in a very secure place inside the home. Now if you say in in general perspective, what is the more vulnerable point where an attacker can attack, whether it's your home, whether it's your whether it's the bank, or whether during the pathway. So for example, if you're going or coming back, so in the middle, the attacker can attack, right? So what is the most, let me just see a couple of answers from you guys. What do you guys think? What is the more vulnerable point out of the three, whether it's the path, whether it's the bank, or whether it's the house? So bank is kind of a database, your house is like a front end. Okay, so you think the bank, so stealing things from bank is much easier than stealing things from house or the normal road? Surendra, because Surendra said bank. Yeah, Purva, okay, path. Any other answer? So what do the the rest people think about it? Okay, I guess not much of the people are interested in typing down a message, but yeah. So Purva is right. So the most vulnerable point over here is the path. Once repeat. Okay, so I'm just asking okay, I'll just speak this in Hindi if you want. बैंक में आपका पैसा रखा हुआ है, आपको घर में पैसे की ज़रूरत है, ठीक है। आपने किसी एक बंदे को बोला कि भाई जाओ जाके पैसे लेके आओ बैंक से। अब आप बताओ कि इन पूरे रास्ते में, ठीक है, कौन सा सबसे इजी पार्ट होगा जहां पर जो भी चोर हैं वो जाके अटैक करके पैसे चोरी करके ले आए? क्या वो बैंक है, क्या वो पाथ है, बीच का रास्ता है, या फिर वो घर है? ठीक है। सो हाँ, ठीक है। सो मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल दे आर सेइंग पाथ। यस, इज करेक्ट। पाथ इज मोर vulnerable one. Okay, I'm not sure, someone messaged me, but yeah. So yeah, it's true that path is more vulnerable one here, and that's exactly when we say about the websites. The backend is the most vulnerable one here. So most of the attacks are possible on the backend because you can manipulate the data, manipulate the way that it is going to interact with database. Maybe you want to, maybe if you want to, by path, you can even manipulate. For example, if you want to store 500 rupees in the bank, you ask someone to store 500 rupees in the bank, and then some pickpocketer went and pickpocketer took out 500 rupees and just entered 100 rupees in his pocket. Okay, so when that guy goes to the bank, he just deposit 100 rupees, and then again you have a loss of 400 rupees. So there is a data loss, right? So in the same way, this backend is very critical point of the security. So we usually prefer that we have server side more secured. We prefer to have server side. It's not like that ki yaar, we don't have attacks on the front end. We do have couple of client side attack. We do have attacks on the database as well. But then again, attacking the database is basically attacking the path, right? So that's more or less like it. So we'll see throughout the course that how we can how we can. Now when we talk about you know web security, we there is one thing that we really need to talk about, that is OWASP. So OWASP actually stands for Open Web Application Security Project. So in the earlier days, when there were a lot of web attacks that were happening around the world, and the developers, they were bit frightened on what is the right. So most of the developers, they didn't have idea what is actually the right way to make an application, so that the attacker cannot steal information or hack their applications. But slowly and slowly they realized, but the whole community realized that they need a kind of a community where they can create a standard, like, okay, so this is how you should write code. This is okay. So it's they kind of created a guidelines. Okay, if you follow this, it is a more secured way of doing things. If you don't follow, then okay, this attack is possible, your website might get with this attack. Okay, so this is how the entire the OWASP has created this. OWASP community has a critical list. Now based upon them, they have actually identified top 10 attacks. Okay, like top 10 attacks which is mostly possible, and then based upon the ranking, like which is the most attacked and which is the least attacked. Okay, so based upon that, they have created a ranking of that. Okay, so that's exactly what we call top 10 OWASP attack. So the first one is injection attack. The second one is broken authentication. Third one is sensitive data exposure. Fourth is XML external entities, which is XXE attacks. Fifth is broken access control. Sixth is security misconfiguration. Seventh is cross-site scripting attack. Um, Eight is insecure deserialization. Ninth is using component with known vulnerability, and the final one is insufficient logging and monitoring. Okay, now let's go back and discuss one by one. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we'll share. By the way, I'm also recording the class so that after the class, if anyone has any problem or who missed the class, they can actually go and watch this recording. But then again, you guys should not take it that okay every time the sir is recording the class and I can just miss it, because someday if I decide like I don't really need to record, I will definitely not do the recording of that. Anyway, let's go back. So just a healthy reminder for you guys to present in the classes. So let's just start with the injection. So what happens in an injection attack is that, so I'll tell you, like, when again we go on to the perspective of website, the front end, the back end, and the database. What happens in a data injection attack is, when you click something, okay, and you realize that this is something is gonna happen. You click on submit button, and submit should click and enter all of your data and save it on the server, right, on the database. Now, while doing that, what attacker can do is, so for example, if there is a input called name and you typed your name, you press submit, your name got entered into a database. Now what attacker can do, instead of typing name, they can write some code, okay, or they can write something which violates how that particular form should be. And in that particular order, the database has a different input, or the backend is not able to understand the input that is being provided by the hacker from the front end, and the backend gets confused, collapsed, okay, whatever it can be. So basically you are tricking the backend, and either it can collapse, or it will give out you some sensitive information, or yeah, it can happen, like it really depends on what is your objective here. So those things are called injection attack. So basically you are actually injecting your malicious code inside the database through backend, obviously. Okay, so that's the injection attack. Talking about, so in an injection attack there are a couple of injection attack, like SQL injection attack, and even in SQL injection attack you have various kind of SQL injection attack, like we have a time based SQL injection attack, we have blind SQL injection attack. So there are a couple of SQL injection attacks as well. But yeah, so that's one of the SQL injection attack. We have, in the injection attack, we have command line injection attack as well. So there are a couple of injection attack that is possible on web infrastructure. We'll see in upcoming lectures. You have, then the next one is broken authentication. Okay, so you know broken authentication with injection attack, you can destroy something, you can get out the information. Broken authentication is worst part, right? It allows the attacker, that whether, obviously the attacker can use, I in the last class I explained you that an attacker can use an automated way or a manual way to gain the control. Or even in the broken authentication, if your system is not authenticated properly, they can use some automated or the manual way in order to gain, in order to gain access to your system, right? So it can be in any order. Like there were couple of years back, I would say, yeah, there was an authentication attack on Facebook, where an account takeover was possible of any user. So in that particular order, if the things are not rightly maintained, rightly set, or the codes are not sanitized properly, then in that particular case, the attacker can actually gain complete control over your system, your entire web infrastructure. The next thing is sensitive data exposure. So in the OWASP list, it comes on a third part. Well, actually, this is like, not exactly a kind of attack, but then again, most information gathering steps it goes into. So how does it happen is, for example, if your web application is not configured properly, right, and you are, you know maybe with, and there is an open API, and by which you are giving out some public information, for example credit card details, which you should not have done it. Now the attacker will just try to see, gather information, and then while gathering the information, they will say, okay, yeah, so I can see that the credit card information is here, and so I all this sensitive information, sensitive data is being exposed, or maybe the old password or password salt is getting exposed somewhere, and by which you can actually see. So there is one, for example, if you guys want to understand about yourself, like whether you guys are safe or not, you guys can actually go, there is a website called Have I Been Pwned. So you can actually go into this website, and you can enter your email address and see if your if you have been, if your data has been compromised or not. Okay, in some or the other way. Just I thought of like explaining, sharing this information to you, so maybe you guys can note down this. Let me just share this link with you guys. Okay. Anyway, coming back to where we were, sensitive data exposure. The next thing is XML external entities. Well, again, XML is a kind of a way where how you parse the input to the database, okay, or how you take out the input from the database, okay. So that is one way of looking into it. Now, an attack is possible, when the XML input, which has some reference to the external entity, and it is not configured properly, this parser. So how it works is, XML is basically a kind of a file, you can say a kind of a code, which needs a separate XML parser to get this information, to understand this information. Now, if this parser is not configured properly, okay, then an attack is possible here. These are again complicated attacks. Maybe in future classes I will show this, how the XSXE attacks are possible. But let's not make the things complicated for now. So we'll just go through the basics, and when the time actually comes, we will understand more about this. The next thing is broken access control. So when we talk about access control, is like, so when we make website, we always have seen that there is a user who can log in, user can log in. Then we say, okay, there is administrator. Okay, administration are the one who has the access to the entire website. They can change the content of the any user, or they can change the password of any user, they can delete the user, they can add the user. So those have the administration permissions, right? The next one, which most of the people has, is the moderator access, right? So the moderator can do certain part of the things. Then you have the other access, like apart from the moderator, you might have editor access. So a couple of people can just edit certain part of the things. So yeah, so those access are there. Now, if these access are not properly maintained, so for example, if somehow these access are not properly maintained, and this website or this page should just have the access of administration, for example, adding or deleting any user. Now, if a normal user has the permission of adding or deleting a user, they can actually delete the entire user, right? Or they can add as many users as possible. So this is called the access control. You need, and if this entire access control is not properly mentioned, properly done, then we say it broken access control. So that's one way of looking into it. The next one is security misconfiguration. So security misconfiguration is like, you know a lot of time when we write, when we create website, we have default username password, or we use default settings and we don't change this setting. Because of this, a lot of attacks, mostly the brute force or the dictionary based attack, are possible. Because, for example, most of you might have Wi-Fi in your home, right? And while entering the Wi-Fi, while installing the Wi-Fi, there's an default password must be set. So, for example, if you go there, into Wi-Fi, in the backside of the Wi-Fi, there will be an IP address written. Mostly it's 192.168.0.1, or in some case 1.1 or something like that. Okay, just go and check it. And if you go there, you will see there is an admin page that comes up. Okay, now you can actually go on the, there are a couple of websites actually. um, so if I just search for, default admin passwords, you will see that, you know based upon the brand of, the router that you have this login IP. So, for example, if I am connected with someone, I don't want to show it right now, but if I am, connected with some Wi-Fi, and then if I just open these URLs, I somehow figure out, okay, what kind of Wi-Fi it is. Obviously, information gathering step is required. I figured, okay, this guy is using D-Link. I am connected to it, so I just open this particular link. Okay, if I just open it, you see, obviously, yeah, I have the Tenda one. And then if I see with what is the default password of Tenda. Okay, let's, default password of, all these informations are, easily available. The default username for Tenda router is admin, and the default password is admin. So I don't know, if I just type admin, maybe I'm able to log in. I don't want to show it to you guys, but you guys can definitely go back and check all these informations. So you guys can even try right now, if you guys are on a laptop and you are connected with any website, you can actually go. Okay, in my case it's incorrect because I have changed it, but yeah, in most of the cases they don't. So these are the, these are a couple of security misconfigurations, which results in brute force attacks. Okay, so I can actually prepare a list of all the possible password there, and then I can just start typing all this password through my program. The next thing is cross-site scripting attack. So cross-site, so just like SQL injection attack or the injection attack that happens on the backend side of the server, on the backend side of the website, in the similar way, the cross-site scripting happens on the front-end side. Okay, now basically it is not actually affecting, the cross-site does not actually really affect the websites or the functionality, but it actually tricks the user into doing something that they don't want to. For example, if you, let's say I'm visiting some website, and an attacker has already entered, certain code in that, by on the client side, I mean not on the backend side. Sometimes it does happen in the, in the cross-site scripting, that backend stores a couple of information, but then again, not too much harm is being provided on the backend end. So yeah, so that happens. The attacker has stored something on the front end, basically on a DOM, and then you try to visit that website. You are just scrolling, and you don't even realize that you managed to click on something, and then it opened a bank website, or I don't know, maybe a carefully crafted where it transfers some money or some to something on it. So yeah, during the cross-site scripting attack, we are going to see on how this cross-site scripting attack is working actually. Next is insecure deserialization. I guess like the theory part is almost going to get over, so this is the last one. Then we are actually going for the practical. Insecure deserialization. Okay. Uh, when we talk about, a couple of websites, like couple of you know programming languages like PHP, Java, how they usually function is that they use the process of serialization and deserialization. So the process of serialization that actually means is to convert objects to byte strings. Now, if you have understood what what objects are, you must have got an idea what I mean to say here. What objects are, right? Structure is. So those for those things you need to go and learn a couple of programming languages, or maybe C++ is good enough for that. Uh, and the deserialization process then again converting these byte strings to objects. Okay, I know that this might sound a bit more technical for a couple of people who are not from the programming end. Let me just simplify you guys with two different examples that I have. So let's say the first one, that's A4 Mallory, and the usernames. Let me just take this. Let's have this one. So if you see, I have this object, okay, which has the user ID. There are a couple of serial numbers are there. There's a username, okay, username or password or something like that, okay, and then the user data is there, right? Or I don't know. This is the username, and yeah, this is the password. And then how it is stored is that how it is getting converted is that it gets converted into in it's the serialization is like this. Now if someone gets the attacker gets control over here, and if this serialization is not properly secured, then they can actually understand, okay, fine, so this is way we can actually manipulate the information and convert this string back to uh, you know back to something else, right? So okay, so user is basically not a password but a level of permissions that they have. So Mallory is basically a user here. I'm sorry for the password confusion. So Mallory has a permission of user, right? And I so that's how it looks like after getting serialized. Now I am the attacker, they managed to understand, okay, how this serialization is insecure. So they said, okay, I'm just going to create a different user called Alice, and will give him the access of admin, right? And then I created a string like this, and then I converted it back, right? And by doing this, I managed to get the admin access on the website. So that's insecure deserialization. The next one is using component with known vulnerabilities. Okay, this is very common. This is like very common. It happens with your, not just with the web application, it happens with your mobile phone, it happens with your laptop, it happens with your computer, or all of the devices. It's like you're not updating your device. You might see that a lot of time, okay, a new version of Android update is there, and what is there in the Android update? There's a new security features, security bug which was fixed there, and you don't update that because why? Maybe you don't have enough space on your phone, or you feel like oh, this is a 2 gigabyte of update and it is going to take 2 gigabyte of data, and I don't want to spend that, and you don't update them, right? But then since those bugs are already present on your phone, someone can actually go back, okay, understand, okay, he's using an outdated system. Let's attack his phone, let's attack his laptop, and get hold of all this information, right? So this actually happens on a website as well. So a couple of times, a website admin, the programmer, the DevOps, they don't update the websites in a regular version. So for example, if you guys are using WordPress or CMS, which is most common because almost 60 to 70% of the website on the internet are made through these CMS, and mostly through WordPress. And with the WordPress, every couple of months, after 2 months or 3 months, they release a new version of WordPress, and in each and every version they are fixing some bugs from the previous version. Now if you're not updating your WordPress website, what can go wrong is that if the attacker somehow figured out what the version of WordPress you are using and what was the bug, obviously those are the public information, they figured out what is the bug in that particular WordPress application, and then use that exploit in order to attack your website. There's a very it looks very silly because all you have to do is just update, keep on updating things. But trust me, when it comes actually on making website and all, this looks like very small things, but most of the people, they fail to do that. And that's how a couple of big companies, even they get hacked because of the outdated system, right? So let me just okay so it's actually showing you exploit db. Okay, so exploit DB is one of those. What I can do is, or what the attacker can do is, so for example, they figure out that your website is made with WordPress. WordPress is again a kind of CMS. If you guys don't know WordPress is, feel free to search on the Google. Let me just continue with that. Just now, just understand it's a kind of a framework, or you say a kind of a CMS by which you can make website without actually knowing coding. So I search for WordPress and I press enter. I hope it just works. Okay, yeah, it did work. So I can see, a couple of on 27th August, there were a um, attack, vulnerability attack on this word plugin. So on a WordPress, if you understand WordPress, you know that you really need a lot of plugins to optimize website, to introduce a lot of features that you want to have on your website. For example, if you go and visit our learn.findmentor.com, okay, even this website is made on WordPress. Okay, obviously not findmentor.com, which is not on WordPress, a very custom built website. But learn.findmentor.com is built on WordPress, and we keep on updating the version of WordPress because we are using a lot of plugins, and if we don't update those plugins and the WordPress, someone can identify, okay, what version of WordPress you are using. Okay, fine, it might be like, okay, you are using this plugin auto optimize. So what version it is? Okay, it is 2.7.6, and here I have, like, all this step by step process to attack the website is mentioned here. All you have to do is just visit exploit.db.com, find out, do information gathering of that particular website. What is the system, what is the technology that they are using. If they have an outdated version, come back on exploitdb database, find out if you have any database, exploit with those outdated informations, and then use the exploit. And all the exploits, they are basically written one, step by step. And trust me, um, it keeps on happening with all the websites. During the WordPress security, I am going to explain. I'll show you how we can hack the WordPress. But yeah, this is another important information. Let me just share it. Now, can you tell me, like, anyone has any questions so far? Please say how to hack. Yes, yes, we are going to that. Like, this is just last slide where you might be getting. Sir, can you hack Wi-Fi? Yes, in the network security, we will be showing on how to hack Wi-Fi. If we cannot, I'll share the video with you. Okay, because the thing is, if to hack a Wi-Fi, I need to get disconnected from my network. Then again, if I get disconnected from my network, I will lose internet connectivity, and you guys won't be able to see what I did, right? And that will be very awkward. So in that particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a particular video for you guys on how to hack Wi-Fi, and I'll share it with you guys. Anyway, so let's cover up the final part. Okay, that is insufficient logging and monitoring. Now, when we talk about security, cyber security or security in general, security is actually myth in all perspective, whether it's in a perspective of the physical security. For example, parliament is heavily guarded, right? But even in parliament there was an attack. In the same way, security is always a myth. No matter how secure you want your system to be, but then there will be someone more smarter than you, who will come up with a different kind of attack, and they will try to exploit your system. So 100% security cannot be a realistic goal. What you can do is you can keep on monitoring. Okay, if you have proper logging system, you can keep on monitoring. So what usually happen is, for example, why do you put CCTV cameras everywhere? Because you want to monitor each and every moment, right? So for example, if I want to hack some, attack or plans something against a bank or loot a bank, I will first what do? I would just go and gather all the informations and everything. Okay, here is this, here is that, and if there is no CCTV camera, so they will never come to understand that someone is doing all these things. But if they have security camera, they paid attention towards this, they can actually know that something off is going to happen, right? So that is why we need, logging and monitoring even on the website end. You need proper logging and monitoring to understand if someone is attacking, so how they are trying to attack. Maybe you can understand that particular pattern, and based upon that you can, before the attack is successful, you can release some successful patch for that particular system. So yeah, so that is more or less this insufficient logging and monitoring. If you don't have, it's like not having a web camera, or what do I say, like, the camera on your home or something like that. And and obviously if you have something very critical there. So I think we have covered all the things. Let's start from the basic. Well, I actually did a very good prediction that I knew that you guys would be selecting the basic, so I already included that. Any questions so far? Let's just keep 2 minutes of time for question answer. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Do you guys have any questions so far for me? Because this was like more or less like a theory session and not a practical one. So I assume many of you might have some questions. Do you guys have any questions so far? Did you guys sleep? Okay. Yeah, keep interacting. I mean, if you guys have any question, or if you guys want to speak something, if you guys want to sing in the class, do let me know. I'll give you the guys the mic access. So shall we go into the fun part, more fun part, where we are going to hack into system, or do you guys want to ask something? What shall I do? Okay, then let's move. So again, I'm going to use Kali for all of my work, and let's start the web security from very basic. Okay, good. Now let me open Firefox. Oh shit, sorry. Ah, okay, so for that, what we are going to do is we are going to use this website over the wire wargames. So basically, over the wire is a website where you learn a lot of things with by hacking into things. So they have challenges with this one. So Bandit is the one if you guys want to learn about Linux by hacking. For them, there's a Bandit. Obviously, when I usually take classes on learn Linux by hacking it, I usually prefer to teach people by solving the challenges in Bandit. Now over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for Natas. So it's so how these war games actually work is they kind of give you some challenges. You have to, in order to leave to go to the next level, you have to solve that particular level. Okay, and then you will be able to go to the next level. So let's just start with the level 0. Each level, let's read what it says. Natas teaches the basics of server-side web security. as I mentioned, there are two different sides of the security. One is the client side and one on the server side. We already said that server side is the more critical point where the most of the attacks actually happen, right? So Natas actually focuses more on the server side, on the part which you guys actually need to understand more and more in depth. Okay, so we will come across SQL injection and all these kind of things. Okay, let's start with the very basic one. So I guess the initial attacks are gonna be pretty easy. uh, let's solve them. Each level of Natas consists of its own website located at this Natas X. So X basically is like 0 1 2 3 4 5, where X is the level number. There is no SSH login. So SSH, it's again a secure way of logging through, but mostly we use it through terminal. But anyway, since we don't need to, I'm not going to discuss about it. To access a level, enter the username of the level, for example, Natas 0 for level 0, and its password. Each level has access to the password of the next level. Your job is to somehow obtain that next password and level up, right? All passwords are stored in etc Natas web pass. Example, the password for Natas 5 is stored in the file etc Natas web pass slash Natas 5 and only readable by Natas 4 and 5. So this is how, when I was talking about, remember I was talking about access control. This is how they have done the access control. So in order to reach to Natas 5, the password is stored, so for the password of Natas 5 is stored in this particular file, and it can only be accessed by Natas 4 and 5, and no other challenges, no other users, right? So this is the access control which I was mentioning earlier. Now let's just start by solving one. Obviously, what I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to type 0. It asks for username and password. Okay, let me just go back. Let us level 0 to 1. Okay, username. Okay, so this is like for Natas 1, for Natas 0. Username and passwords are what? 0, Natas 0, Natas 0. Let's just try this. Okay, okay, you can now, it says that I already logged into Natas 0. You can find the password for the next level on this page. But if you see here, I I really don't have anything else. So this is vchal. That so basically vchal is, again, you can create your profile, you keep on solving them, you get points, and then you can it's kind of a you have some ranking in the entire world, where all the people are solving some challenges. Anyway, let's just not focus on this part. Let's just see. It says that you can find the password for the next level on this page, but then again, if you see on this website, I don't see anywhere where I have the password. So what you can do is, all you can actually see the source code of all the websites. So whatever website you try to open, you can click on it, and you can click on view page source. When you click on view page source, you can see this entire source code, and this is possible with almost everything. For example, if I just go and visit google.com, and I click here, and I just say view page source, I can see the entire code of that particular page, right? So obviously, remember, this is not the server side code that we are looking into. This is the client side code. Client side code is like what you see in a pretty way, and how that pretty things are written. Okay, now on in this particular case, I can easily see that it's written the password for task 1 is this. It's very simple. Now why I was not able to look, I was not able to see this line from here, is because it has been commented. So when you write this is an HTML, HTML language. So when you're writing HTML language, so this is the commenting. So commenting are basically done by developers to make sure, so they that understand, okay, so this part of the code is for this, so maybe this part of the code is for for video calling. I write a comment, and every programming language has the commenting feature. It's just that they use different ways of writing comments. HTML uses this way, so they write, you know this on the top, and ending of the comment is like this. And in the comments, the whatever you write in the comment, they are not actually executed, they will be just like that. So now I can see that the password for Natas 1 is this. Okay, now let's just go back and try with Natas 1. Username is gonna be Natas 1 and the password that we tried. Okay, so I can see that I will manage to log in Natas 1. You can find the password on the list, but the right clicking has been blocked. Okay, so you can see that right clicking has been blocked on this page. Let me just go to the next level. Right, so this is okay, so yeah, so this is the level that we are solving, and password has been blocked. I cannot do. So when you block the password, and I will actually give you guys a hint about this. So we have done the same thing in on findmentor.com. We have disabled the right click. Okay, that's actually like most of the people, they cannot copy. I have seen a lot of websites that they are just copying and pasting our content and putting on their website, so we just disable that. Okay, so you see that right click is disabled here, and the same way a lot of websites do the same thing. And over here in that particular case, there are very simple fix. If you want to still see the the source code of this, you just press F12. Okay, when you press F12, a console windows will open, and you can then again start seeing the code. Let's try on this again. Oh, sorry. So even if you see, you can even go here and you can see the content here again. Okay, on learn.findmentor.com. So obviously this is one way of doing. The second way of doing is that these things, that the right click is usually blocked by executing JavaScript code. So there is a separate JavaScript code which is written to which actually blocks it. What you can do is we can just go back and in the browser setting option, you have an option called disable the JavaScript. You can disable the JavaScript, and then again you can start finding out the solutions. Like you can do all this right click and everything is possible. So anyway, for now we managed to have the password for Natas 2. We don't really need anything else from here. Now we just move on to Natas 2. And it looks very easy that okay, I'm just doing right click and all these things and I'm getting information. But remember, the first step of hacking is information gathering. Even when you are trying to access the information, these steps are going to give you a lot of information, because what the people are going to do is developers are going to write some comments for their convenience. Now with these comments, you can understand what that part of the code is, or you can understand what the next thing is going to do, or how the programmer was thinking. And somehow in some of the cases it also happens is that you do a right click and you realize a lot of developers, they do is, so you write a piece of code and then you realize I don't really need it, but may not now, but maybe in future, so I made a comment on that code so that those codes are not visible on to the user. Okay, now what happens is you can do a right click, you go there, you see okay, so this is the part of the code that they try to implement, but somehow they're not doing it. Okay, and you can understand maybe some future functionality is going to come, but you came to know about that before. Okay, by reading that code, or there are ways that you can just remove the comment and execute that part of the code as well. So now again they're saying there is nothing on this page and my right click is also there. Let's just do the same thing. Let's just see the source code. Okay, this is the same password that I typed just now to enter onto a website. Sorry, to enter and log in into Natas 2, but I cannot see anything else, right? And there is no other way. But if you see here, if you see here, I can see there is an image source file here, right? If I click on image source, okay, so this is just one small dot. Now, this is very funny. Why would someone want to keep a image which just has one dot? And if we see here, we maybe there is some dot that we are actually not able to see it, right? Maybe somewhere it is. But this is very funny, right? Now what we can do is we can see that what is the URL? It's files and pixel.png. How this is designed is that this files is basically a folder, and inside this folder they have stored this image file. Now let's try to find out what are the other files stored inside this folder. And it's very simple. I just copied that. I just typed files. Now if I just type this, I can see, okay, so there is one more file called users.txt is there. If I click on this, let's see what it is. This, so it has Alice, username, password, Bob, Charlie, and Natas 3. So this is something that we need, right? So let's just copy this, and I guess we solve this. Now this is again a security misconfiguration error. Why is a misconfiguration? Is because that these if for example, if I just, let's go back here and try this. I am seeing index of files, right? There are Google Doc. Okay, if I just search for Google Doc index of, okay, and you go here, you see, okay, let's just go back to to hacking database, and you see index of, with index of the lot of things that you can do. So Google Doc are the one, with the use of Google you can actually find out a lot of information. Let me just show you, because since I'm already here, all you have to do is just open Google. Okay, we go back here and we try to find out, let's say index of, so this was index of, right? So we call it directory listing vulnerability, because the directory lists down all the files over here which should have been protected. These files should not have been shown just like that. Okay. So okay, let's see this exploit. There's there's a Google Doc which says in title, and all you do is you go here, you paste it, okay, and then you will see a lot of websites. Okay, they have index of admin uploads, all the uploads are here, right? So these are something which is, obviously I'm doing these things for for information purpose, but these Google Docs are very dangerous. So for example, this San Matisse school.org, they have done the same thing. This nirjaft.res.in and all these kind of things. So you see, even these websites, they have done such mistakes that all these uploads are there. Now admin might, okay, it's then again, it's all about how you are going and finding out what informations are there. Okay, so admin might have done some mistakes again. Okay, and might have uploaded some sensitive information. You can get this information. So for example, now you can see that there is a another called video. For example, if these videos were something for which you should pay to that website, you can just go and access these videos, right? Which is okay. So yeah, on my browser, videos are not supported, but yeah, you can actually go, you can download videos, you can see, and these are very dangerous things. And how we came to know? We came to know it just through Google Docs, a lot of Google Docs, and you can again get some quality Google Docs from exploitdb.com. Let's just go back and let's keep on solving the challenges. So I am just, obviously these are whatever the website terms I showed you, these are all for the educational purpose. I, please don't try to hack any of these website. Even if you are finding some vulnerability, try to contact that website owner, send them that okay, you found these vulnerabilities, so maybe you can just, you found out this directory, you guys can go and inform the owner, okay, your website has this vulnerability, this is the directory listing vulnerability, and please try to fix it, otherwise some sensitive information can go out. Now it really depends upon the website owner whether they want to fix it or not, but yeah, as a security researcher, that's your job. So let's go back to Natas 3. Task 3. The username would be task 3. The password is here. Okay, so I managed to log into Natas 3, and again it's like there is nothing on this page. The same old story by them, there is nothing on this page, but we know there is. Now, okay, these are the normal things which we have been seeing. Now this is interesting. No more information leak. Not even Google will find it this time. So last time in Atas 2, we found out the information leak was on that files folder. But here, we don't have any such thing. Now they are just claiming not even Google will find it this time. Now, if you understand the web architecture, you will know that there's just one file that Google does not crawl. So how it works with Google is, and how the search engine actually works is, that you have a website, you enter that website to Google, you said okay, just crawl my website, it will go to each and every pages that your website has, and then it will say okay, these are the web pages, okay, this is contact us page, this is this page, this is this page, and then when you keep on searching on Google, you get information based upon that. Now there is one file called robots.txt. So first the crawler goes to this file by default. They see what are the names, what are the the listing are there, and based upon that they say okay, these are the files which we are not going to crawl, which we are not going to show it to the users through our search engine. So this is what he means here. So what I can do is I can just try to see. Okay, so it says that it has asked the Google not to read this particular folder. Why it's a folder? Because it has two slashes. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to see what this folder has. Okay, now again, okay, inside this particular folder they have this. So it has another 4 username password, and through this we can log in into the task 4. Task 4. Okay. Yes. So till now we managed all these. So Natas, till Natas 4, we whatever the program, whatever the changes that we were getting, we were actually getting it through the tweaking of website, seeing into things, being vigilante about what we are looking into it. From these challenges, Natas 4 challenges, we are actually going to use couple of tools. Okay, but before I start, I just want to be sure like if you guys have any question or not. So anyone has any question so far? Anyone has any question? Let me just see. Feel free to ask. Anyone has any question, or shall I just go ahead? Or if you want, I can stop the class here itself. I need input from you guys. Okay, Boredi says carry on, sir. Anyone want to speak something? Otherwise, I have a couple of questions which I can ask to random users, right? If you guys are not going to ask me some questions, I'm going to ask you guys any question. Okay, so tell me what part of the hacking is very important before you start, before you start the attack. What part of the hacking is very important? And I will just ask. Okay, let's start with Boredi. Boredi, I have given you the mic access. You have to allow. Click on allow.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think everyone can hear you as well. Uh,
Okay.
so I have a question for you, Boredi. Is
Yeah.
what part of the hacking is where you need, to be very vigilant about? Like you need to be very vigilant about before you can plan attack. Okay, it's the information gathering part where you gather all these informations about the website. So that is where you need to be very vigilant about
That
what kind of
guess.
information you are gathering. Okay. Do you have any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay. Then shall I just continue?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay. I'm just muting your mic then.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. For this one, now it says that access disallowed. You are visiting from this, while authorized users should come only from Natas file. Now we have reached to level 4. Right. 4. This level. Yeah. Okay, so now let's see, let's start doing some information gathering if we can get out something from here. Well, it says index.php. Well, by default, whatever the the file that we are, you can see, and also you cannot actually go and see the content of index.php, like the code, because php is a server side language, and if it is configured properly, you cannot see what is the code that is being written on the index.php or on the php file. What you can see is the html part, which you are seeing right now. So here it looks like everything is configured properly because I cannot see the source code. um, so what I am supposed to do is, I'm just going to follow what it says. Now it says that you are visiting from this. Okay, so basically maybe I don't know, I am visiting from empty something, while authorized users should only come from Natas 4, right? Now if I just refresh the page, it says you are visiting from this link. Okay, while authorized users should only come from this link, right? So I don't know, because if I just type Natas 5, it is going to ask the password for Natas 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a tool called Burp Suite. Okay. So Burp Suite is basically a kind of a proxy where you can see the information that is being passed from your uh, front end to the back end, and the same way from the back end to the front end as well. Okay. Not now. Let's just go. Now I need to configure burp suite to use it. I am going to do that as well. Okay. Good. Looks everything is fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here on settings. Where is settings? I don't know. It's preferences. Yeah, it's preferences. Then I go to privacy and security settings. So but what I'm supposed to do right now is that I have to create a what do I say, a kind of a proxy between my browser set. So now what usually happens is when you click on a website, okay, you are a user, you click on a website, that website, all this information pass to the backend and from backend to the database, right? Now what I want is if I click on a website, instead of directly passing all this information to backend, I just enter something in the in the middle. Okay, if I enter something in the middle, in that particular case what it is going to happen is I can see what information is getting passed from this website to the backend, right? And if I want, I can modify these things as well, or what information is coming from backend to my website. Okay, if I want, I can modify this as well, right? And then I can do other things. So this is what burp suite is. So basically I'm creating a proxy between the front end and the back end, that all my data should pass through this this sitting thing that we are going to keep in the middle, and that is called burp suite. With burp suite you can do a lot of things. Okay, so let's start with the very basic things like even brute force attack is possible through burp suite. So anyway, so let me just figure out the network. Where is network? So basically I need network here. Yeah, so I can just configure my proxy to use. So this 127.0.0.1 is a localhost IP address. Okay, it is the IP address by default, the IP address of your computer on whenever you are going to run any website on your laptop. um, for example, you're not when you're as a developer you're developing it, so this is gonna be your default IP address of that website. And then again, when you start hosting this website on a cloud, then you get a public IP address, okay, where you host it. So this is like a private IP address of our laptop, which is localhost. By default, this is the same thing with every laptop or every devices. Okay, so let's use this protocol for this, and then we configured it. Now we can just go back and see on a proxy tab. So have I done? So let's just click on intercept off. If I click on intercept off, it is running, right? But if I click on intercept on, what happens? Now you see that it's still loading, because now the information is stuck on our end, right? Now if we click forward, then it gives us some result, right? Now let's do this interesting phenomenon again. I can see that what does says disallowed, because you are using from this, and the authorized user should come from what? From natas 5, right? So let's now if we go and check all this information, I can see the host is natas 4, user agent is Mozilla, which is our browser, except this is like the text or HTML5 that we have. The language is English, US English, encoding is mentioned, and all this informations are there, right? So now what I'm supposed to do is, here is a referrer, right? Referrer is something which is very interesting, because it is something which is referring us, right? Let's just change it to natas 5, because that's what they're trying to say, that you are visiting it from from this page, like natas 4 I was visiting, while I should have come it from natas 5, right? So let's just change it to natas 5 and see what happens. So now you are visiting from natas 5, while user should come from this. I have, so this is index.php is there, right? Now let's do one thing again. Let's go back to 5 and delete this index.php from here. We will give them, okay, what they want. They want is the correct way of showing what they want, right? I mean, they wanted us to provide it through task 5, and now when we provided them with this, they have given us the password, right? So let's just copy this, access granted. Let's just copy this, and let's just, okay, let me just click on intercept off, otherwise I just keep on, I'll have to keep on task 5. So now task 5, okay, you're not logged in. So Natas 5 says that I am not logged in, right? Again, what we are going to do is we are just going to see and allow the intercept. Okay, we are going to see what it says. Now, does anyone have any idea like what it is going on, or how we should, you know, proceed this challenge, this particular challenge of Natas 5? You guys can look into it. I'll give you guys 1 or 2 minutes to think about it. Give me some idea. Give me some idea what, by seeing these informations, are you able to get anything out of it, or if you feel like no, this is not the right way of doing it, I should have done it in a different way, then we can, we can do it in a different way. Just look into it. Anyone has any idea? I'll give you a hint, because the answer is right in this request. The answer is right in this request. Okay, so give it a thought, like see each and every parameter. Any idea? So let me just give you guys, all of you guys, access to speak, because I want you guys to speak on things. Ah, okay, I gave all of you guys access to speak. Okay, anyone has any idea? Anyone has any idea on what we could have done it, like what we should do? Already, Purva, anyone? Any idea? Okay, even if you guys don't have any idea, just tell me like what you feel, what do you think about this challenge. Already?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what do you think about this challenge?
I think if you change the connection, it's showing as close now, sir. At, at now.
Connection is closed. Okay,
Yeah.
so shall I just do open?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, I mean, that's one way of saying it. Let's see. Okay, it still says access disallowed. So yeah, this is not the right answer. But yeah, good observation. So maybe, that could have been a solution, but obviously connection stands for something else. I'll explain you about that.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go together. So we see that these authorization, we don't understand something. Okay, we can see cookies are there. Some different parameters are here. We don't know what it is. Some are there. UTMC. I see that logged in is equal to 0, right? So if I just do 1, it should happen,
Shared. Correct.
right? With 0 and 1, it means 0 means off, 1 is on, right? That's when we say about program languages, that's exactly what it means, right? 1 is false, sorry, 1 is true, 0 is false. So now let's do it 1 and let's see what happens. Okay, that's the solution. So now till
అమ్మా
now we managed
మా
to solve
అన్నింటి తీసేయి
till
మా
the task
దొంగలు
5.
వస్తాయా
Okay,
ఏంటి
I think it's
వాన
already,
నీళ్ళు
you know
కవర్లు చూడు
we already
పురుగులు
had
ఎన్ని
a
ఉన్నాయి దాంట్లో
1 hour, 1.5 hour of class so far. There will be an assignment regarding the further challenges that I'll be giving you guys on the Telegram. Let's just stop this class for now. Do you guys have any questions so far?
Bhai.
Any questions so far?
అమ్మ నీకు నైట్ జ్వరం వస్తుందమ్మా నీకు తెలియట్లా ఆ విషయం
If you guys have any questions, just ask me on the chat. If no, then we can just close the, wrap up this session. No question, I guess. Okay, then in that particular case, let's just wrap up, because let me just save this, you know, let me just give you guys the password for this of Natas. This is Natas 6. So if you guys want to solve these challenges, I recommend you guys to visit Over the Wire. Try all these challenges by yourself. If you guys are facing any problem, ask me on Telegram or on WhatsApp. If you guys have, feel free to do that. And yeah, we will cover up more advanced challenges in the coming class. So, and yeah, I mean, all these challenges and all these, so in the entire class, I don't think like we have allotted 2 web security classes, we won't be able to cover up the entire web security there. So what we are going to do is, we'll cover up some more part of the web security, maybe injection attacks or cross site scripting attack, but detailed web security is covered up in our the master's degree program, where we have allotted around 1 month for the web security. You can actually go out and check that particular video as well. So thank you for your time. Let's meet the next class.